So let me think if I could capture it. So if I'm an executive in a company and I'm driving digital transformation, and what are the steps that I should take? I think what I heard you say is, of course, pick a platform that's open and connected, so you can take all of your, versions of truth into have one view,
right.
One that's comprehensive. It's not just the technical metrics.
Right.
It's the business metrics. You mentioned savings. Have all those things integrated so you have that view. Make it visible. So now you have there's no special reports, no Excel spreadsheets. Whether it be business leaders, whether it be technologists, whether it be product managers, everybody can look and see, here's our progress. And everybody can view in real time, here's where we started, here's where we are with the team,
right.
or with the product. Is that kind of the key? And then just show those dashboards?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? I think the use, obviously, as I kind of mentioned, changes, I think, level to level in terms of what you're pulling out of all of that. But the goal is that you're taking, application performance metrics, you're taking that open and connected system, right? You're taking everything that you want, you're pulling it into a single source, a single pane of glass, right? So you got application front end, you got the infrastructure, you've got your team metrics from Jira, you got your build, your deploy metrics, you got your environment metrics from PCF, all pulling into a single pane of glass. That can feed other systems like your ITSM tool, like whether that be ServiceNow or something like that, but it allows every team within the organization to get what they need from the same place.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're talking about, and that's what's key, because when you have an alert or you have a planning meeting or you have a QBR, whatever it may be, you can all look at one place.
Right. And that visibility, I've seen in my previous role, and I see it company after company, when you give the team the visibility into their technical metrics, which of course we want that, but then layer in the business metrics, culturally it just changes the needle. And then when you can, what's great is if you have the data in New Relic, there's a lot of data there, you've got that observability, you create a dashboard that's maybe sales centric or maybe business centric. And I've been in many meetings where actually the sales team will take their New Relic dashboard, especially if it's a large SaaS provider, and like, look, this is how detailed we monitor the systems that we deploy to you, and it's major. So when you gave the teams that visibility, any things that you saw or anecdotes, like what happened when they had that visibility?
I think it was literally the word visibility came up, right? Because I think for a lot of teams, they had inklings, right? They knew things that were going on, but they never really knew for sure, right? Even if you take a simple one like before and after picture, we had an application moving to PCF. So they were trying to do capacity planning. Before, they had different tools for infrastructure, different tools for APM, memory usage, all this stuff. And so when they were moving over to PCF, they said, okay, let's use New Relic for capacity planning. And they dive right in, and within an hour, they figured out, okay, this is the memory we need moving over because this is our average consumption based on this number of HTTP requests and so on and so forth. And so they're just loving the visibility it gives them, and it's also allowing them to kind of sit down with their peers or their bosses and show, okay, this is where we need to improve, this is where we need to drive action from. When you go through planning meetings, you're able to decisively say, okay, we need to target this. Like, we've got a database problem, let's look at it, right? It's no more, we think the problem's over here, so let's start drilling into it, right? You can very quickly find out where the issues are, drive action from it. And then you mentioned something a second ago about being able to bring in business metrics, right, and sales, etc. We worked with one of the teams internally, and essentially the way it works is it's based on customer use, right? That's where the value is derived from it. So we can see if we have an outage, what impact that has on revenue, and you can see it all in one dashboard, which again helps you drive action very quickly, because is it an all hands on deck? Yeah, right. We're losing money, and now you can figure out, well, if we need to upgrade something, this is what we lost from that incident. If we do this, we'll avoid it or we'll mitigate it moving forward. So you can start tying again performance to revenue and everything like that, which is really important, I think, at this point. And you talked about it in the keynote, which every business is going digital. Well, if you're going to do that, then you need to make sure what impact digitalization has on your end, on your end user and your sales and revenue and everything like that. So it's, providing that level of visibility and integration is key.
Yeah, I think when you give that visibility, I've seen teams, and I shared that in the keynote, where just that they see their AWS expense, without anybody telling them, they drop it by $40,000, or they see that this feature that they've been working on really isn't moving the needle, and so then they have the conversation in the retro with the product owner, or they see that what they're doing really is moving the needle, and they move faster on that. It's amazing. But I think what all these things really do is drive trust. And I was having that conversation earlier. I think we were talking a little bit about it. But I think if you go back to technology, let's say 10 years ago, a lot of business leaders would look to technologies to come to technology with a list of tasks. And a lot of technologists used to come in with a blank piece of paper, and it's really changed. You have to build that trust with the business. And if you build that trust, then I think they come to you with the business problem. And when business people come with business problems to technologists, it's like night and day, the quality of the solutions to it, right?
And I think that's what people want to work on, right? And that's the key. And we had another example kind of last year. We were working on a platform, and again, we provided a report to executives every time we made a change. It was an incremental change we were trying to apply. And maybe after the second, the first report, they wanted loads, they had lots of questions. Second report, again, a fair amount. Third report, they just said, it's working. You guys work, right?
You know the data. You know what
so
the facts
you
are.
start developing that trust, and having, again, it's all. I think for me, it comes back to taking it from the source of truth, making it visible. There's very little questions to be asked, and people just trust, okay, we're doing the right thing because we have the data to show we're making improvements. And that's, data is a powerful tool. Everyone knows it. There's continuous conversation. I think you need to focus on leveraging that as much as you can to tell the story. Right?
Agreed. So get the data in, make sure it's observable, because data hidden doesn't help, right? Make it sure it's in front of the right people in a way that they can absorb that data, right? So what's the right view for them? And then magical things happen. Anything else you want to share if someone's starting on this journey that they should do? Again, pull on the data, make sure it's observable, share it, make sure it's adapted for whoever the audience is, and then use that as your measurement. Anything else?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned personally anyway, and I think we as a team have observed is, you want to stand back, you want to develop, your understanding of what success looks like, but don't try and solve every problem at the beginning, because you never get to start then. And I think what you have to be able to do is understand that, okay, you know what success looks like. You might not get that first time round, right? You're going to fail. Allow yourself to do that. Start small and incrementally change that, right? Iterate through it. And I think that's the key. Sometimes you stand back and you try to see the entire picture, and if you do that, you overanalyze, right? And you never really get through anything. And one of the things we've learned is, okay, let's just tackle the problem. We know what we want to get. Let's do it incrementally, and we'll get there. And if that just means, like when you look at CI/CD, for example, just taking the manual steps you do today, just automate those. Right now, you've automated to a level. Yes, it's not your end point, right? You want to be much better than that, but you can improve on that incrementally. But if you try to refactor the entire application and put in the perfect pipeline from day one, you talked about it, that's going to be like a 4-year project, right? But maybe your goal is not that. Maybe that's the end goal, but I think in technology, we all know there's new technologies every year. So you're always going to be improving your applications and your platforms. That's never going to stop. You're never going to get to a point where this is perfect. So don't focus on perfection. Focus on getting, your desired outcomes. Always strive towards those. Those will always stay ahead of you, in my opinion. And tackle it like that. And don't be afraid to, make mistakes, fail, and have to go again, because I think that's how we learn. As long as you take from it, then it's perfect. And that always brings you back to the data, right? The data will show you where you need to improve, and then you just take that and you take the next step. So,
I totally agree. I see that at company after company where projects get stalled is everybody looks at this big problem and tries to solve the big problem, when instead, if you just take a small piece, solve that problem, iterate on it, have a win, and then spread from there. So I really appreciate your time, Colin.
Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.